and it's going to be 100% tariff on November 1st for things from China. Okay, is this going to kick in on November 1st? Is this a giant game of chicken? Hey, welcome back to the Grovara. We are here live on location. It is Podcast Tuesday. We're filming. We got a couple updates that's happened. Today we're going to talk about the tariffs. Back on the tariffs. No one likes talking about tariffs, but we're going to make this interesting to the best we can here. Brought to you again by Tatsu Tea. You know Tatsu. Tatsu Tea time. I'm on like 2 or 3 a day of these things. I got to stop bringing them to the office. Seriously, I got like cases of them. They're delicious. All right, well, listen, last night at midnight, there's a 10 to 50% tariff on imported foreign wood products to the U.S. now that has been imposed. What does this mean? Well, first off, furniture, which we've been sourcing for well over, the last decade from overseas, all this furniture, all that IKEA stuff you see coming in, all that now is going to be tariffed. It's going to be more expensive. Prices are going to go up. That's the first thing you're going to notice. Trump and the administration want these tariffs because they want to help promote domestic logging. You want to encourage manufacturing here in the U.S. and the idea of getting something from overseas where it could be child labor, unfair trade practices, and or whatever the hell is going on with the product and how it got here, what it took to get the product to here is not going to be a concern of this administration now that we have these tariffs in place, and it's going to restrict and create more of a demand and incentive for domestic produced product. Problem is, can we produce today? Or is there going to be a gap between when the punishment, the tariffs kick in, and or when we actually start producing enough to fill the demand, right? That's a question. I'm not too well versed into the lumber industry, but I do have an issue with the concept of the tariffs, kicking in, and it's going to be 100% tariff on November 1st for things from China. There's a lot happening here. You've got like, the Chinese last week set up their own, a whole bunch of new regulations. Some of these regulations setting tariffs. Last week, China came in with a new set of tariffs to basically stop the export of rare earth minerals and rare earth products. These rare earth products are, let's bring them up real quick. You're looking at things like holmium, erbium, thorium, europium, erbium. These are all things that you learned like in 9th grade in chemistry. They're on the elements, table of elements, and you just haven't thought of them since then. But these minerals are actually important for the production of electronics, fiber cables, solar panels. These are things that, go in to produce these things. And if you can't export the raw ingredients to build the components for the infrastructure, then you're forced to buy from China. So in retaliation to this, the Trump administration has now set up a threat on November 1st of imposing 100% tariffs on product. Now, that is just, you can imagine doubling the cost of anything, like our glasses, our G glasses, right? State-of-the-art G glasses, These smart glasses are going to cost double what they cost today in under 3 weeks. So with the holiday season around the corner, you can imagine what's happening here. Now, on the Chinese front, all the producers are freaking out because they don't know, okay, is this going to kick in on November 1st? Is this a giant game of chicken, right? And how's China going to react and retaliate? What is the back and forth? It's like a ping pong game. And who's caught in the middle of it in the short run is all the entrepreneurs, the manufacturers, the buyers, and the end consumer. Because at the end of the day, if prices go up for the wholesaler, prices go up for the end consumer, and here you are. You can't spend what you used to spend to make something at the price that it used to cost, and now you're going to increase that price because, unfortunately, you're caught up in a trade dispute between two rival nations at the moment. So that's kind of, where we're at. These glasses, we've got some orders lined up for the holiday season, and now, the manufacturers are don't know what price to charge because we got to have it, we got to receive it at a certain cost. And the tariffs, there's a lot of unknowns at the moment. But certainly the end consumer is going to feel the pinch in the short run. I hope ultimately in the long run, the tariffs and everything are going to settle And because there are a lot of unfair trade practices. If you're a friend of this podcast, you know over the past we talked about how monopolies run the planet and how here in the U.S. we don't have the luxury of understanding how the rest of the world really works because we're so in our own little ecosystem, but the rest of the world doesn't play fair. And even though in the U.S. we like to think we don't have monopolies, we got some pretty powerful companies, but they are dwarfed by the families and the giant organizations across the planet. And if the Trump administration and the new administration sees these tariffs as a way of fighting them, fingers crossed, hopefully it works out. We'll see what happens in the long run. But in the short run, we're definitely going to feel the pinch. And there's definitely this rattle sabering, which is going to hopefully not escalate to anything more than just words and negotiations taking place. So stay tuned for more. Check back to the Grodega podcast for all the latest, greatest breaking news in the CPG industry. I'm Peter Groverman, and always go global. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this podcast, check us out on YouTube, LinkedIn, or subscribe on Spotify or Apple. Like, comment, subscribe, and always go global here at Grovara.